Young black girl chases a stranger's wallet, unveiling an inspiring billionaire surprise. Layla sprinted through the bustling streets of the South Side, her mind racing even faster than her feet. The vibrant warmth of golden leaves clung to the chill of autumn air, but all she felt was urgency. She could see the wallet slip from the pocket of the hurried businessman ahead. A moment's hesitation flashed through her mind. Was this the right thing to do? But her parents' voices echoed in her heart, always do what's right, no matter the cost. Without thinking, she darted after him, weaving through a crowd buzzing with life, the laughter of children playing, the rhythmic beat of music floating from nearby shops, the enticing smells of hot dogs and tamales from street vendors, each sound a reminder of her community's spirit. The businessman remained oblivious, lost in thought. She pushed herself to run faster, panic mingling with determination. What if he didn't realize it was gone? What if someone else found it first? Her heart pounded, her breath coming in uneven bursts, but that urgency surged through her, fueling her every step. Help him, she thought, imagining the relief on his face when she handed it back. Finally, she caught up to him, panting. "Excuse me," she shouted, her voice trembling with both exertion and fear. He turned with a frown, eyebrows knitted together, not seeing the excitement in her eyes. Just as she reached out to give him the wallet, she felt an unparalleled rush of pride swell within her. But did she really expect anything in return? The way her parents raised her, altruism didn't come with strings attached. "Mr. Thompson," he introduced himself as he took the wallet. At that moment, Layla didn't know his identity was that of a billionaire philanthropist who built an empire out of tricky beginnings. He was simply a stranger who happened to have lost his wallet. "You have the spirit of a helper," he said, his gaze softening into a smile that felt like a warm hug. His words sparked something in her, a hidden ambition to become an artist, to uplift her community with every stroke of paint. But dreams clouded once news broke about her father losing his job at the plant. The family's financial situation had become tight as a drum. Layla's heart sank lower each passing day, she felt squeezed between duty and ambition. She wanted to support her family, and her father's worried expression after losing his job only intensified the weight upon her small shoulders. Should she relinquish the internship opportunity Mr. Thompson had offered, or stay and help around the store? She began to question herself. In the dim light of their corner store, she helped restock the shelves, her limbs heavy with anxiety. What if I fail? What if I let Mr. Thompson down? Every painting she envisioned slipped farther away, like the colors fading as dusk sank into night. That evening, Mr. Thompson called her into his opulent office, and she froze. What if he sensed her internal struggle? But instead of reprimanding her, he urged her, "Create art that portrays your truth. Your voice is needed." His belief lit a flame within her, but rationality soon crept in. How could she pursue art when her family needed her? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Layla stood before the canvas, paintbrush gripped tightly in her hand, her mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts, her stomach twisted with unease. Each color she mixed brought unresolved feelings to the surface: the sacrifice of family against the pursuit of passion, love against a hunger for success. The upcoming art exhibit beckoned, but it conflicted with a family function that held deep significance. What should she do? In that dim light, surrounded by unfinished works laden with emotion, Layla felt both hopeful and trapped. She could hear whispers of her own desires, but they were drowned out by the pressure of familial obligations. As the night deepened, her pulse quickened, leaving her standing in a storm of thoughts. What path would she choose when dawn broke? Layla stared at the blank canvas before her, its starkness reflecting the chaos swirling in her mind. The paintbrush felt foreign in her hand, like a key to a locked door she didn't know how to open. Thoughts clashed like thunderclouds in a storm. Her father's face loomed large in her mind, worry etched into every wrinkle. It was not just a looming family function that pulled at her, it was the weight of responsibility that pressed down on her soul. Closing her eyes, she inhaled deeply, trying to separate the sounds of the city from the noise inside her head. The laughter from the street drifted through the open window and reminded her of what she loved most about her community: resilience, vibrancy, strength. But her own heart felt like it was suffocating under the weight of her decisions. The vibrant hues she felt within faded to monochrome as doubt settled in. Could she really let go of this chance to pursue her dreams? The night wore on, and Layla felt the tug of responsibilities versus aspirations pulling her in two different directions. Painting was not merely an action, it was her expression of self, her call to her future. Yet, how could she focus on that when her family needed her? Reality bit at her heels like an insistent dog. The pale dawn crept into her room, illuminating her palette of colors. She recalled Mr. Thompson's words. "Your voice is needed." What if he was right? She reconsidered her own narrative not just as a daughter or a helper, but as an artist. Slowly, she began to dip her brush into a vibrant red, carefully exploring the strokes. Each movement was like reclaiming a part of herself. Layla lost track of time as she painted, abandoning thoughts of worry, channeling all her emotions into her work. Shapes transformed and colors bloomed on the canvas, and soon, the outlines of a mural began to emerge, a vivid representation of empowerment, a celebration of her community, and her place in it. Each stroke was a reminder that her identity was multifaceted. She could be ambitious, a daughter, an artist, all at once, but self-doubt crept in again as she hesitated. What if her art was rejected? What if Mr. Thompson regretted taking a chance on her? A wave of anxiety washed over her, but she pushed through it. She thought of the kids in her neighborhood with their dreams just as fragile as hers. In honing her craft, maybe she could inspire them. Perhaps that was the very reason she needed to pursue this opportunity. Suddenly, she remembered the family meeting slated for that evening, the one she initially planned to skip. It was important to her family, this, she couldn't overlook. What if she made a choice that sacrificed both her future and her family's connection? It stung just to think about missing it, yet remaining around made her dreams feel so far away. Her heart twisted as she balanced the essence of personal ambition against familial loyalty. Emerging from the haze, she stood up, paint-stained and resolute. The decision crystallized in her mind. She would attend the family meeting, but it would not just be about surrendering her dreams. She would share her aspirations, paint her vision, and perhaps invite them to dream with her. Feeling a renewed sense of purpose bubbling within her, Layla lifted her brush, ready to complete the mural. But just as she began painting, her phone rang, Mr. Thompson's name flashing on the screen. Her pulse quickened. Was this about the exhibit? The opportunity she hoped would aid her family's situation? With the backdrop of vibrant colors, she paused, the weight of two worlds pressing on her shoulders. What news would come through the phone? Would she have to make a choice once more between family and dreams? Layla stared at her phone, uncertainty tightening her chest. She let the ringing echo in the silence of her studio, feeling trapped between the color-splashed canvas that signified her artistic awakening and the expectations tethered to her family. Her heart raced as she recalled the conversation with Mr. Thompson, the gnarled energy of his excitement still fresh in her mind. This was not just a phone call, it was a potential turning point. Taking a breath, she answered. "Mr. Thompson." "Layla. I was just about to leave you a message. Do you have a moment?" His voice rang with urgency, and she felt her resolve waver beneath the weight of her responsibilities. "Yes, I do." "What is going on?" "Great. I'm reaching out because there's an opportunity I want to discuss. One of the investors is looking for fresh talent to showcase in the upcoming initiative. I believe your mural could be a transformative piece." Each word sparked excitement, yet doubt trickled in afterward like a dark shadow. "But the family meeting is tonight, I understand, and I wouldn't want to interrupt anything important. However, this is exactly the kind of chance I've been talking about. Think about your message, your impact. Her throat tightened. This was where ambition and duty converged, pulling her in opposing directions. She envisioned her mother's smile, the warmth in her father's eyes, the shared stories wrapping around their family gatherings. Yet she also pictured the kids from her neighborhood, eyes wide with dreams, wanting someone to guide them, someone like Layla. How soon do they need a decision, she ventured, feeling the tremor of hope. It's time sensitive. We're arranging artist engagements as we speak. I'd need to confirm your involvement by tomorrow. Unease coursed through her. The weight of generations pressed heavily on her shoulders, choosing the potential of her art felt both exhilarating and terrifying. She had always been the responsible one, the one who answered the call of family before her own desires. This might just be the moment to shift that narrative. As she stood in her studio, staring at the mural still incomplete, her decision crystallized. I'll do it. I need to show them what I can do. Fantastic. His enthusiasm was palpable, but she still felt a pang of guilt. Make sure to keep your family in the loop. This could change everything for you. Layla hung up the phone, waves of anxiety and elation surging through her. The vibrant colors in her painting called out, beckoning her to finish what she had started. Yet now, she needed to integrate something new into her narrative, an infusion of aspiration mixed with loyalty. With renewed determination, she picked up her brush, her mind racing with ideas. She envisioned a mural not just as a personal expression, but as a bridge to her family, a testament to her journey, struggles, and victories. This was her chance to encapsulate her heart's message and share it with both her family and the greater world, but conflicting emotions coursed through her as she painted, memories swirling through her mind like whispers. Her family's expectations fought against her burgeoning identity as an artist. The lively moments of laughter with her siblings and the serious discussions with her parents clashed with her yearning to be seen beyond the roles they placed upon her. As night descended, she stood before the mural, a blend of colors erupting in powerful forms, but the tinge of doubt was still there. Would they accept the shift in her aspirations? As she lost herself in the rhythm of the strokes, she wondered if her family would understand why this was so important to her. The phone buzzed again, this time, a reminder for the family meeting. The content of that meeting relied on meaning far greater than the surface arguments that would ensue. This was not just about dreams, it was about family dynamics, clashes of loyalty and ambition. Staring at the mural, now almost complete, Layla took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges that awaited. The hour had come to confront her family and share not only her vision, but the reality of her dreams. Her resolve solidified when another thought blazed through her mind: there's a bigger narrative at play, and she had no intention of being a mere spectator. With uncertainty still lingering in the back of her mind, she prepared herself. But would the powers that be in her family welcome this new chapter, or would she face resistance? The time had come to see if her voice would truly be heard. Would the family gathering be a moment of connection, or the beginning of a deeper divide? As the clock ticked down to the family meeting, Layla's heart raced. She stepped away from her mural, its unfinished brilliance hanging in the air like a promise yet to be fulfilled. The vivid colors were a reflection of her identity, a testament to her struggles and triumphs, yet they also represented the divide she felt with her family. With each brush stroke, she had poured her hopes into the canvas, the mural waiting to be unveiled to not just a wider audience, but also to her roots, to those who had always defined her. Layla paced her studio, anxiety coursing through her. Doubts bobbed in her mind like artifacts, each one a reminder of the roles her family had envisioned for her. The responsible daughter, the good sister, not the artist she yearned to become. This meeting might shatter the delicate balance of expectations that had held her captive for so long. She thought of her parents, their pride intertwining with their apprehension regarding her choices. Would they view her pursuit of art as a frivolous venture, an irresponsible distraction? Or could they recognize the seriousness and passion behind her brushstrokes? She had poured every ounce of herself into this project, yet the prospect of revealing her truth filled her with dread, but she also had a flicker of hope. After all, the journey to define oneself often meant standing firm against resistance. As she placed her hands on the cool surface of her mural, she felt a rush of conviction. This was not just about revealing her art, it was about claiming her identity, her right to follow her passions, and breaking free from an inherited narrative she hadn't crafted. When Layla arrived at the family gathering, she felt the atmosphere shift. Siblings chattered, laughter floated in the air, but she felt like an outsider, unnoticed yet desperate for connection. The weight of her decision hung over her like an unspoken challenge. The meeting commenced, and she could sense her family's collective gaze searching for their familiar Layla, the one who rarely strayed from the expected. "Layla," her mother started, her voice laced with concern, "how's your mural coming along? They say art can tell stories, but we want to make sure you're focused on your future." Guilt clawed at Layla. "It's going well, but actually, I wanted to share something important," she said, voice steadying, her father's brow furrowed as if bracing for a storm. "Are you still planning to pursue being an artist? You know we support you, but support?" Layla felt the heat rise within her, igniting her words. "What if that's not enough? What if I want more than just support? What if I want to be an artist in my own right? This mural is part of a bigger opportunity, and I want you to see it." For a moment, silence enveloped the room. Her family exchanged glances, shock and concern mingling in their expressions. Layla's palms grew clammy, her pulse quickening as she awaited their reaction. Had she really dared to challenge the family's unspoken rules? "We," her mother began hesitantly, "just want what's best for you. You don't need to choose between us and your art." "Maybe it's not about choosing," Layla interjected, her determination sharpening. "Maybe it's about embracing all parts of who I am. You want to be proud of me, and I want to showcase my journey through this mural. This is my voice." The air thickened with tension, her family grappling with their fears as she bravely stood her ground. Layla had opened a door, but now she needed to brace herself for the inevitable pushback, but before another word could be exchanged, her younger brother chimed in. "What if we helped? We could organize a small unveiling. You know, a family thing." His innocent suggestion offered a glimmer of hope as Layla felt a rush of appreciation. Could it be possible? Were they willing to see her and join in her dream? Yet, lurking behind the emerging connection lay a storm of implications. The struggle didn't end here, it was merely the beginning, a test of how far her family was willing to grow alongside her. She was standing at the precipice. Eager to fly yet alert to the risk of falling. As they moved to discuss the logistics of the mural unveiling, Layla's heart swelled, a raw, mixed blend of hope and trepidation coursing through her. Would they truly support her, or would the old expectations resurface, grasping her ambitions once again? Her voice, tentative yet empowered, cut through the air one last time. "Let's make this about understanding each other, not just about what's expected." With that, she had ignited a spark, but as the meeting progressed, Layla's mind was already racing to the unseen challenges ahead. Could it maintain momentum, or was this just surface-level agreement? The drawing of the line between loyalty and ambition was about to be tested, and she was determined to see where it would all lead. Would her mural transform into a tangible connection, or would it become another fault line in her family's story? Layla stood at the edge of her mural, paintbrush poised like a wand in the air, yet her thoughts continued to swirl around the meeting's aftermath. The words of her family echoed in her mind, a cacophony of both support and skepticism. The weight of their expectations pressed against her chest, but beneath it, she felt a burgeoning realization this mural could be her bridge, connecting her personal identity to the aspirations she yearned to chase. With the family gathering still fresh in her memory, Layla returned to her studio determined to channel her anxieties into her art. Completing the mural became a metaphorical challenge, not merely an artistic endeavor but a series of layers representing her journey towards self-acceptance. Each stroke of color mirrored an aspect of her identity she was ready to embrace, the vibrant reds for her passion, the serene blues for her growth, and the bold yellows reflecting her newfound voice. But the familiarity of her studio became a double-edged sword. While it provided a sanctuary, it also served as a reminder of the obstacles she faced. Questions resonated loudly in her mind. Could the unveiling truly be a platform for her to transform her family's perception? Or would she end up entangled once again in their fears and misconceptions? Days passed, and the mural began to take shape. With each session, she felt her confidence swell. Yet as excitement flickered like candlelight within her, a chilling fear began to creep in. What if her family's initial support was a fleeting sentiment? Would their old beliefs resurface, stifling her creative spirit, especially when they would be face to face with something they had struggled to understand? Memories of past conversations haunted her. She recalled her father's lectures on practicality, her mother's worries about financial stability. The entrenched narrative seemed to loom from the past like shadows, ready to devour her ambitions if she faltered. Determined not to waver, Layla made a pivotal decision. She planned to invite them to participate in the mural's final touches. By allowing them a role in its creation, she could share her artistic vision while reinforcing her commitment to her family. She envisioned her siblings painting alongside her, laughing and discussing the meanings trapped within each hue. This could be their collective journey, transforming the unveiling into a family event, rather than a solitary proclamation. As she prepared the materials for their upcoming collaborative session, anticipation and trepidation peppered her thoughts. Would they grasp the depths of her expression, or would they see only colors on a wall? Still, she clung fervently to hope, imagining her family walking in sync alongside her, drawing connections between their stories and her art. But beneath the surface of her optimism was a gripping realization. By engaging with her family this way, Layla was not only confronting the external expectations but also the internal fears she had carried for too long. This mural wasn't just a representation of her artistic talent, it was a declaration that she mattered, that her voice had value, and that it could harmonize beautifully with her family's narrative. However, as the day of their family painting session approached, an unshakable doubt settled in her stomach. What if the colors they added were the shades of old expectations? What if her family could not extend beyond their preconceived narrative of success to embrace what she was manifesting? With a deep breath, Layla smoothed her hand over the mural, imagining its unveiling. This monumental effort would pivot on the fulcrum of trust. Trust that her family could celebrate her identity as fiercely as she did. As she finalized her preparations, an unexpected message from a local gallery slid into her inbox, sparking a different kind of anticipation. They had seen her work and wanted to discuss a potential show. A knot of anxiety twisted in her gut. She would have to decide if pursuing this opportunity meant stepping away from family support or smarter. Integrating her ambitions with their approval, the invitation dangled before her like an elusive dream, challenging everything she had recently begun to reclaim. It felt like a fork in the road, and as she stood on that precipice, she wondered, was she ready to balance her desires alongside the evolving dynamics with her family, or would the fear of their disapproval hold her back? Determined to find her path, Layla prepared for a moment of truth. Layla's heart raced as she sat on the floor of her studio, colorful paint tubes and brushes strewn around her like petals after a storm. The email from the gallery weighed heavily on her mind, a tantalizing opportunity that loomed with the potential to elevate her work yet also felt like a challenge to the proverbial family narrative that had long defined her. She squeezed her eyes shut, inhaling the scent of paint and the raw wood of the canvas. Who was she without their approval? Could she embrace this chance for herself? It was as if the layers of color on her mural now mirrored the layers of her own emotions, complex, bright, and waiting to be revealed. Each brush stroke ignited a burning desire to stand tall, to be seen. Inviting her family to paint with her had initially felt empowering, a bridge to foster understanding. But what if they saw her burgeoning ambitions as a betrayal? What if, in the midst of mixing paint, they lost sight of the dreamers they were meant to honor? A quiet fear echoed in her thoughts. Fear of misunderstanding. Fear of slipping back into the suffocating mold they had created, a mold shaped by practicality and caution. She stood abruptly, inhaling deeply as she paced the studio floor. The time had come to decide who she would become. Growth often sprouted from uncomfortable soil. The painting session was not merely a family gathering, it was a litmus test for her emerging identity, which hinged on her willingness to confront both hope and fear. Her fingers brushed over the unfinished mural, and she felt a surge of determination. This art was a reflection of herself, an undeniable voice clamoring for recognition amidst the discord of familial expectations. To walk the path toward her professional ambition meant she would need to risk rejection and dive deeper into vulnerability than she had ever dared before. Late that night, while the city lights flickered outside her window, she crafted a response to the gallery. The cursor blinked as she began typing, "I appreciate your interest in my work and would love to discuss." With every word, Layla could feel the walls of self-doubt begin to shift. This was her chance to step into a world that had long felt out of reach and to emerge not just as an artist but as the architect of her own narrative. Her heart beat wildly at the realization, integrating her family's perceptions of success might not limit her but instead could redefine it. Days melted into one another as she prepared for both the mural session and her anticipated gallery meeting. She decided to keep her family informed, to foster a dialogue rather than to hide her ambitions. Each evening, she shared snippets from the emails with her siblings, gauging their reactions. To her surprise, their responses were curious rather than dismissive. They wanted to know what it meant to her, how pursuing this opportunity felt. In these conversations lay the promise of shared understanding. Then came the day of the family painting session. Laughter floated through the air like a vibrant hue waiting to dry. Layla's heart beat faster as she set out the brushes and palettes, eager yet apprehensive about their input. Would they dismiss her vision in favor of their expectations as she feared? As her family gathered around, she felt a small knot tighten in her stomach. Their faces, filled with a soft mixture of confusion and warmth, reflected an unspoken understanding. It was a threshold, the moment when words could either bridge a gap or deepen a divide, yet even as the brushes began to mix bright colors on the canvas, an unsettling chill crawled up Layla's spine. What if their voices drowned hers out? She took a step back, forcing herself to breathe and embrace the chaos of the moment. Just as she felt the tension peak, her phone buzzed. Another email from the gallery, but this time it carried an urgency that pulled her focus. Hesitatingly, she opened the message, her heart screaming for release from its clenched fist over her aspirations. Inside, the words flashed like bright neon against her uncertainty. "We would like to schedule a meeting this week to discuss a featured exhibition." There it was, a new opportunity, a beckoning. Layla's throat tightened as she suddenly felt the weight of a crossroads, her work glimmering in the light alongside family expectations. Amidst the laughter, the paint, and the upcoming choice that lingered like thick fog, Layla realized her voice had power, but would it be enough when the fearful whispers of doubt threatened to rise? As she stood there, she faced the murky waters of balancing ambition and loyalty, igniting her determination. The moment of truth had begun to unfold in vibrant strokes across the canvas of her life. What would her next brush with destiny reveal? Layla's pulse thudded in her ears as she tried to focus on the vibrant splashes of paint surrounding her. The burst of laughter from her family felt distant while her mind coasted through the implications of the gallery's invitation. A meeting this could either be the beginning of her professional ascension or a plunge back into the shadows where family expectations loomed. As she continued to paint with her family, she noticed how their joy contrasted with the storm raging inside her. Her brothers and sister leaned in close, sharing stories and creating spontaneous images on the canvas. With every brushstroke, they expressed their creativity, a reminder that art had a place among them. But as Layla mixed her colors, her thoughts spiraled into a darker hue. Would this be enough for her to break free and truly thrive as an independent artist? When the session concluded, the canvas pulsed with life, a tapestry woven from their collective spirit. However, as their laughter reverberated, she felt ensnared in the same web of identity she had always lived within. "You're really doing this, huh?" Her sister's voice was casual yet edged with an inquiry that pierced through her bravado. Layla glanced up, suddenly unsure how to respond. "Yes, it feels right," she said, the words escaping with tentative strength, her heart battling embarrassment. What did feels right even mean in the context of familial loyalty and pursuing her dreams? Beneath her confidence simmered doubt, a thick glue binding her to a narrative that had never been entirely her own. That night, the glow from her studio light flickered as Layla pored over her sketchbook. The gallery meeting loomed over her like an unmade bed, its implications tangled in her thoughts. Drawing heavily from her emotions, she began to sketch concepts for her exhibition, combining themes of family and self-identity. Each line traced the struggle within, illustrating not only the joy of creation but the raw conflicts she grappled with. As she mapped out her vision, she felt a sense of empowerment building, mingling with the anxiety buzzing under her skin. The upcoming meeting was more than just an opportunity for recognition, it was a crucible for her identity. Was she ready to embrace the possibility of showcasing her work under her own name, or would she retreat into the safety net of family expectations once more? Sleep evaded her, punctuated as it was by flashes of her family's faces and tentative smiles as they discussed her art. But lingering doubt persisted. Had she truly articulated her ambitions to them, or had she given them what they wanted to hear? This tension coiled tighter in her chest, a dull yet persistent throb overshadowing her aspirations. The next day, she found herself at a coffee shop, nursing her drink while trying to ground her swirling thoughts. Sitting at a nearby table was an artist she'd idolized for years, known for her unconventionally bold exhibitions. Courage bubbled within Layla, and before she could talk herself out of it, she walked over, nervously introducing herself, sharing her own aspirations. The unexpected warmth in the developed interaction ignited a fire within her. The artist listened, addressing Layla's fears while encouraging her to harness the contradictions of her journey. Remember, your voice breathes life into your work. Don't shrink to fit in. A vibrant life comes from raw, unfiltered truth, she said, her tone a delicate blend of wisdom and encouragement. Layla left the cafe considering this new perspective. The conversation had solidified something within her that she had only glimpsed before: a strength to integrate her family narrative with her ambitions without compromise. But as she stood outside, she faced a question that sent her stomach lurching. Could she truly own her story without the burden of expectation weighing her down? This knowledge didn't erase her fears but ignited a determination to share her work with the gallery, her voice, her vision. With each step on the pavement heading home, her pulse thrummed with a blend of anticipation and dread. Tomorrow, she would face that meeting. But before confronting the gallery, she needed to fortify herself against her insecurities. Could she turn the fear of familial obligations into a wellspring of creativity? What did it truly mean to pursue her art for herself? The answers, just like the intricacies of her work, were still evolving. As Layla entered her studio once more, she glanced at the canvas, alive with the colors of her family's laughter, yet tinged with the deeper themes she yearned to explore. Tomorrow would determine if she could emerge brimming with authenticity or fade into the background once more. The decision loomed: embrace this chance to redefine her identity or watch from the sidelines. What would she decide when confronted with the truth of her own ambitions? Morning light crept into Layla's studio, painting the room in soft hues that settled over her like a gentle embrace. Yet, the warmth did little to ease the tension coiling within her. Today marked a juncture where her aspirations were poised to clash with the weight of her family's expectations. The gallery meeting was not just a professional opportunity, it was a confrontation with her own insecurities, a test of her resolve to honor her artistic vision. She stood before her canvas, the strokes from the previous day's work like whispers of encouragement. Her heart raced as she ran her fingers across the surface, feeling the texture beneath her touch. Each layer, each color told a story of its own, echoing the internal battles she had fought in silence. But now, those stories yearned for a voice, a place in the world where they could be seen and felt. As she took a step back, wordless whispers of doubt began to seep in. What if her work didn't resonate? What if it lacked the sophistication expected by critics who would surely evaluate her worth? Negative thoughts tumbled through her mind like a relentless tide threatening to drown her optimism. Focus, she muttered, grounding herself in the familiar space of creativity that had always been her sanctuary. She recalled the words of the artist she had met, a beacon of bravery that cut through layers of uncertainty: your voice breathes life into your work. Those words morphed into a clarion call, challenging her to confront the fears that had held her back. With renewed purpose, she sat down with her sketchbook, inhaling deeply. She began to draft a new concept, an image that would serve as the cornerstone of her exhibition. It would juxtapose imagery of familial warmth against stark, personal struggles, an art piece embodying her journey toward authenticity. The creativity flowed, aided by vivid memories of laughter mingled with the shadows of expectations, each stroke a reclaiming of her narrative. On the brink of achieving clarity, an unexpected epiphany settled over her. she didn't need to erase her family's influence, she could weave it into the fabric of her own voice. It would be a building block, not a crutch. It was a powerful realization, releasing her from the chains of guilt and enabling her to envision a new relationship with her art. Hours slipped by as Layla meticulously finalized her concepts, guided by her deeper understanding. She needed to convey strength pooled from familial support, yet still emphasize individual ambition. It became apparent that her art was not merely a personal journey, it reflected the convergence of her family's legacy with the discovery of her own path. Before she knew it, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow upon her studio. The meeting at the gallery was closer than ever, and as anxiety bubbled once more, she clenched her fists, channeling that energy into resolve. Layla rummaged through her collection of sketches and framed prints, carefully selecting a few pieces she felt could represent her authenticity. Each piece showcased whispers of family influence paired with her evolving personal style, colors vibrant, themes poignant, and narratives complex. With each choice she made, confidence blossomed, melting the hesitations that had threatened to hold her back. As she prepared her portfolio, she found herself glancing back occasionally at her initial sketches, a testament to her growth. These pieces contained her essence, waiting to breathe life into a shared space where others could connect. Finally, the moment of truth arrived as she stood before the gallery door. The rhythmic beats of her heart echoed her inner conflict. Would she walk in prepared to advocate for her vision? Could she engage with potential critics with confidence, or would her insecurities outweigh her newfound clarity? Layla felt the door's cool metal against her palm, a physical manifestation of the choice that lay within. She breathed deeply, summoning all the courage she had cultivated. The gallery, an illustrious space housing the dreams of many artists, beckoned her forward, promising both challenge and opportunity. What awaited her on the other side of that door would either solidify her journey toward self-realization or plunge her into the shadows she feared. With one resolute push, she stepped inside, ready to embrace whatever unfolded. Would she confront her fears or retreat behind familiar facades? The fluorescent lights of the gallery illuminated the air thick with anticipation. Layla stepped into the space, where whispers of admiration and critique hung like a delicate veil over the polished floors. Her heart raced not just from the pressure but from the electric potential of the encounter ahead. This was her moment to plant her flag in the artistic world she had long admired from afar, and as she entered, the cacophonous beats of her heart transformed into a steady drum of purpose. Navigating through clusters of patrons, some deeply engaged in conversation with artists, others studying pieces with an intensity that left no room for doubt. Layla adjusted the portfolio tucked under her arm. Each step felt both daunting and exhilarating, a paradox that propelled her forward. She reminded herself that she was here not only to present her art but to stake her claim as an artist in her own right. The room was filled with vibrant artworks, each piece a manifestation of the artist's journey, yet Layla felt a quiet strength emerging within her. Rather than allowing comparison to hinder her, she decided to embrace the diversity of visions surrounding her. Each artist had a unique narrative, just as she did, her story intertwined with the expectations and warmth of her family, yet laced with her growing individuality. As she approached a small gathering near her intended presentation area, she overheard a conversation about the very themes she had explored in her work. Subconsciously, her confidence swelled. A young woman animatedly spoke about the struggle between personal desires and familial obligations, a topic exhaustively familiar. But instead of feeling overshadowed, Layla felt buoyed. This was her tribe. Recognizing the universality in their shared experiences was refreshing. With a deep breath, Layla stepped into the group, allowing the gravity of her presence to assert itself. "Excuse me," she began, her voice surprisingly steady, "I couldn't help but overhear. That tension between family expectations and personal passion is something I aim to explore in my work." The eyes in the circle turned toward her, curiosity piqued. Their expressions encouraged her to continue. "My pieces mirror not just my artistic ambitions but also the echoes of familial warmth that both inspire and challenge me. I hope to create a dialogue about authenticity." As she spoke, that familiar twinge of doubt attempted to creep in, but she took it as a cue to lean into her resolve. The conversation flowed organically, and soon Layla found herself envisioning the group as mirrors reflecting her own aspirations. Their dialogue sparked ideas, laughter, and a sense of a comfortable community, something she had often yearned for but shied away from achieving. When it came time to present her work, Layla's hands trembled slightly as she opened her portfolio. The pieces inside revealed layers of her soul, the influences of her past and the promise of her future. As she showcased each piece, articulating the stories behind them, she felt a weight lifting. The criticisms she feared dimmed against the light of acceptance she was beginning to cultivate, yet, as her voice steadied and her enthusiasm heightened, she sensed a looming presence. An art critic known for his biting reviews was in attendance, his gaze cold and calculating. An apprehension bloomed within her as she finished the presentation, her vulnerability laid bare for someone who wielded immense power over her future. This was the moment she'd practiced for, yet now the stakes felt extraordinarily high. Could she maintain her poise as critical eyes assessed not only her artwork but the validity of her journey? Would her heart-driven authenticity survive the scrutiny of seasoned critics? Layla's resolve wavered in attention, but she clung fiercely to the clarity she had unearthed. Each pulse of her heart echoed the determined vow to honor her artistic voice. Now was the time to confront the evaluations that could either break or build her. What lay ahead was more than just a critique, it was a defining moment for Layla to truly confront not only the world's expectations but her own. The question remained, could she embrace her truth despite the storms of judgment ahead? As Layla's eyes scanned the audience, her breath caught in her throat. The gallery space was alive with creativity, yet the shadows of doubt loomed large. She had spent countless hours honing her craft, but now she needed to embrace every bit of herself on this platform. The critic's presence felt like doubling the stakes, but at that moment, fury and resolve surged within her. "This is your moment," she whispered to herself just before stepping behind the podium. The tilt of her head and the firm grip on her notes illustrated that she was ready to step into her own narrative, not as someone defined by familial obligation but as Layla, the emerging artist. With a deep breath, she began. "Thank you all for being here today. My art dives into the beautiful complexities of familial love and individual ambition. Each piece here represents a tapestry of my life, my cultural roots threaded with the desire to be an artist." The words rolled from her tongue more fluidly than she had imagined. Each painting she unveiled was not just a visual collection, it was a layered story, an evolution of her identity. "I invite you to see not just the colors but the narratives behind them, the tender push and pull between expectations and dreams." As she spoke, she felt a shift in the energy of the room. The audience leaned in, their interest growing. Even the critic shifted forward, his steely gaze now softened as he observed the unguarded passion emanating from Layla. The vibrant colors of her mural began to paint the very walls they stood within as she explained the story behind each brushstroke, her voice growing richer and bolder with every narrative. When she concluded her presentation, the applause that followed was an unexpected swell of affirmation. Her heart soared, she felt liberated, no longer burdened by the weight of expectation. She had demonstrated her capability and courage to share her truth. Afterward, while circulating through the crowd, the conversations were filled with excitement. Artists approached her with admiration, they appreciated the authenticity she so boldly displayed. Even the critic, in a surprisingly encouraging tone, commented on the depth she infused into her work. His feedback was constructive yet validating, the respect she had sought evident under his critiques. "Your voice breathes life into your work," he acknowledged. "Embrace that, and you'll evolve far beyond the confines you once felt." With each connection, Layla realized that her family had not been the only ones with expectations. For others, she began to prove herself as an artist, but mostly, she proved it to herself. The weight of her journey felt lighter, transforming into strength, a burgeoning confidence radiating through her every step. As the evening faded into night, she stood outside the gallery, the city buzzing all around her, yet she felt singularly empowered. The initial dread she felt about her family perceiving her ambition as irresponsible had now shifted. She was able to claim her voice, artfully weaving her family's love into her identity, grounding her dreams in their support. The family unveiling of her mural was approaching, and the prospect thrilled her. Instead of fearing judgment, she embraced the anticipation of sharing her journey with them, a narrative that now included her individual aspirations intertwined with her love for them. As Layla prepared for that night's unveiling, she no longer felt dichotomized between family duty and personal ambition. In her heart, she knew she'd cultivated a robust identity. Her art would be an expression of her unique story, one that her family could celebrate alongside her. It was now so much clearer. She would not only become an artist but a symbol of resilience and authenticity for others, paving the way for future generations. As Layla took one last glance at her mural, she whispered, "This is who I am. I'm ready." She smiled, fully embracing not just her art but her evolution as an individual, one who understood the power of both ambition and love. "Layla," a voice called from behind. Her brother had arrived, eyes shining with excitement. "Are you ready for tonight?" With a deep, assertive breath, she nodded. "Absolutely. This is going to be special." And as they walked together, anticipation settling in like the colors of her mural, Layla recognized the triumph of embracing her identity, one that echoed both in the strokes of her paintings and in her heart. It was time to reconnect, redefine, and inspire. Now, if you're moved by Layla's story and want to witness more narratives of transformation and triumph, you need to subscribe now. Let us keep empowering each other with beautiful tales of personal growth. Leave a like now to fuel our journey and make a difference in the algorithm so others can discover these powerful stories. Comment below with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about Layla's journey and her future. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the message of resilience together.